Alright, so welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Here's some update to the YNW Melly situation. Okay, so far, we know that lead detective Mark Moretti has been redeposed, meaning he has been put back on the stand, right? So within the last few days, he has been on the stand. He is being cross-examined again by YNW Melly's attorneys. Now remember, the judge already gave YNW Melly's attorneys that win for that motion. They requested that he be put back on the stand so they could cross-examine him. However, the judge made it clear that the only thing they could ask Detective Moretti about was about his credibility. They were not allowed to ask him about evidence pertaining to the case. Now, also, Assistant State Attorney Michelle Boutros is about to get back on the stand as well. Michelle Boutros, as far as we've heard, seems like she might have twisted her truth a little bit. I don't know if you want to call it a lie. I don't know if there was a misunderstanding, but what it's coming off as right now is that she fibbed. She fabricated. Why? Because if you watch the trial, the first trial, Michelle Boutros, who actually is an assistant state attorney and who works at the Broward office, testified against her own department that she overheard the lead investigator in the case, which is Mark Moretti. She heard him ask a Broward County deputy to lie about being present when Moretti executed a search warrant outside of his jurisdiction. Now, when she said that, she also said to the effect that she stopped working with him, or she did not work with him on any other case or anything else after that because she did not believe that his credibility was good. Well, it turns out that just a little research was done, and it was brought up in court that they have proof that she did work with him after she said she heard him make that statement asking the other deputy to lie on his behalf. She said she never worked with him after that because she didn't trust his credibility. Well, I think they found out that she actually did. Now, as far as Michelle Boutros goes, here's my personal opinion. This is not factual as in what is being said in the courtroom. This is just my personal opinion from the outside looking in. I don't know if somebody got to Michelle Boutros. I don't know if she was given a hefty payday, or someone made her some grand promises, or if this is some type of sorority, fraternity link up or something that's happening where she feels like she needed to do a favor. Usually, you don't step on the toes of your department that you work for. Honestly, even when you see dishonesty in it, you're supposed to actually look the other way. Now, we're saying, right? Okay, she's a good person, so she didn't want to look the other way in the face of injustice. She wanted to blow the whistle. However, it is a code, just like how you have the wall of silence for military personnel, for law enforcement personnel, for other fields out there, firefighters, etc., etc. You never turn on your department, never turn on your fellow officials, law enforcement counterparts. And she did that. She went to court, she took the stand, and she took the stand in favor of YNW Melly and his team. And I don't know, when she did that, that was kind of off the wall to me. Now, also, detectives, the gang expert, Detective Danny Polo, according to Bryson Boom, Judge Murphy orders the second deposition of Detective Danny Polo, which means this detective, the masked detective from the first trial, the one who is a gang expert, he's been doing this for years. He speaks fluently with his hands the same way all the gang members in the street throw up their gang signs. He knows what a lot of those gang signs mean and which one represents which gang because he's done this. he will be back on the stand again, which is another motion that was filed by YNW Melly's attorneys to have Danny Polo back on the stand again. This is his second deposition. If you remember correctly, Danny Polo came in with some kind of fear of his identity being exposed because he does undercover work out in the streets, sting operations, so on and so forth. So he didn't want his face exposed on television or before the jury, not knowing which one of these jurors might have been connected to other people who could then expose his identity to foes, right? Eventually, he was made to take the mask off because there were jurors in the courtroom who were saying, we're not comfortable with him having a mask on for the simple fact that we don't have masks on. So he knows who we are and we don't know who he is. And then the judge said, okay. And he was asked to remove his mask, but he was not televised. His face wasn't shown when after he removed his mask. It was only shown when he had the mask on. But the jurors saw his face because the mask was removed for them. He will be back on the stand again. Now, I want you to know this. Danny Polo is also the one who is still doing his work, as in what he does professionally. He is in the field. He follows these gang members. He breaks them down, as in brings criminal charges against them if they're up to no good, etc. It was this same Danny Polo who was inside the prison, or the jail rather, where YNW Melly is housed. And Danny Polo was said to be doing some investigation on another gang member who is a well-known blood gang member. He is supposed to be in there, or was in there, for racketeering charges. And Danny Polo was tapping his phone calls, monitoring them, his communication, and also keeping an eye on him, gathering information on that individual, which had nothing to do with Melly at all at first. But it was in the process of following up this individual, tapping his phone calls, that Danny Polo discovered a conversation which led to many more conversation, like the conversation between YNW Bortland and another guy who was in the jail, who was communicating with Bortland on behalf of Melly. So like passing a message on, and YNW Melly's name gets wrapped up in that much deeper. They discovered multiple other phone calls and messages and basically orders or instructions that were passed down, which brought about the whole tampering with witness charges against YNW Melly and against YNW Bortland, or Cortland Henry, just to give you all an understanding of how deep this goes. Now, they haven't said what Detective Polo will be questioned about on this second time being on the stand, but we'll have to wait and find out. So with that comes the rest of this video, which I pre-recorded, so you can listen and gather all the information and then leave it at that. Shout out to y'all for tuning in. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and let's get right into this story. By the way, we're following the YNW Melly trial every step of the way. So if you actually want to be up to date in every single thing that's going on in this trial, then this is the place to be. We don't use any complicated law jargon. We break it down so everybody can understand and be on the same page. Opening statements were initially rescheduled for January for the restart or the retrial, but the Judge Murphy, has reset that date again. So the starting date officially for YNW Melly's new trial, his retrial after the last one ended in a mistrial, this is going to be February 5th, after prosecutors requested more time for a preparation. So, according to the news out of Florida, Rapper YNW Melly is back in court, and this was Monday, November 20th, as the prosecution aimed to suppress evidence in his double murder retrial. When I saw that headline, I said, why would the prosecution be trying to suppress evidence? Suppress means to keep evidence out. What evidence would the prosecution be trying to keep out? Or is this media house getting it all twisted? Well, let's get into the story. The judge ruled that the lead Miramar detective in a double murder case could be redeposed by the defense, but only on certain topics. That means they can't talk to him about everything. Detective Mark Moretti, he was on the stand as defense attorneys for YNW Melly questioned him about evidence from the day 2 of the rapper's friends were shot to death in 2018. So he was deposed or redeposed again, and Mark Moretti was back on the stand, which is what YNW Melly's attorneys wanted. This is one of the motions they had filed, to have the lead detective back on the stand. The judge said, okay, I will grant you that motion. However, you can only speak to him about his credibility. You cannot speak to him about evidence and about anything else. The hearing comes as the rapper's double murder retrial was pushed back, and jury selection continues in this case. Opening statements, like I said before, were initially supposed to start in January, but the judge gave the prosecution more time as they requested. So the official start date, which I'm looking forward to, and I know you are looking forward to as well, because everybody at this point wants to see this thing put to rest. Let him be tried. Let all the evidence comes out, and if he's free, he's free, and if he's guilty, and he goes to prison. A lot of people are screaming justice for YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie, and there are a lot of people also who are saying free YNW Melly. YNW Melly, whose real name is Jamel Demons, was in Broward County courtroom back on November 2nd for a hearing ahead of the double murder trial. Demons and his attorneys, they were asking for another chance to question the lead detective in the case, right? And the defense, prosecutors were claiming that the defense didn't have the right to question that detective again. Jury selection in the retrial began in October and is expected to run all the way through December. Initially, they thought everything would have been wrapped up in December, and then trial would start early January. Not the case. The retrial has been delayed after Murphy also removed the lead prosecutor at the request of Melly's lawyers. We remember that, right? Christian Bradley. Murphy granted the defense's motion to rescue prosecutor, to recuse rather. Recuse means to remove. He granted the defense motion, which is YNW Melly's lawyer's motion, to remove Christine Bradley in an abundance of caution. Not that she did anything wrong, but in an abundance of caution, after defense attorneys claimed that the prosecutors did not reveal that they had that the lead detective in the case had been previously accused of being willing to lie as he gathered evidence. The judge didn't find that Bradley's integrity had been compromised, but he agreed anyways, and he said that she couldn't serve as a prosecutor on a case if there's even a small chance that the defense was planning to call her as a witness regarding the credibility of one of the investigators. So you could imagine that she's the lead detective in a case, or she's the lead prosecutor in a case, and her lead detective in the case is about to be called to the stand to question his credibility, and then she would be called to the stand to answer questions concerning his credibility while she is prosecuting the case. It would make no sense. So the judge says, in an air of caution, get her out the way, put somebody else. And the state did put somebody else. The state, in fact, put 3 new prosecutors on that case, and things have been going crazy ever since. Attorneys for Melly had asked Murphy, the judge, to remove the Broward State's office completely from the case and potentially dismiss the case entirely. They also filed a motion for that case to never be able to be tried again, none of which has been granted so far. The request came after Assistant State Attorney Michelle Boutros, who works for the Broward office, testified against the Broward office and on behalf of YNW Melly's teams in the case against Demond Mark Moretti, asked a Broward County deputy to lie. This is where they said Mark Moretti asked a Broward County deputy to lie about being present when Moretti executed a search warrant outside of his jurisdiction last October, forcibly seizing a phone from YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, as part of a witness tampering investigation. The officer said while he was talking to her about handing over her phone, she was typing in or moving around her thumbs on the phone in fast motion, as if she was erasing a lot of stuff or she was just moving around stuff on the phone. And they said that he grabbed the phone from her and removed the phone with force. Don't know how that went. Again, her attorney was present, and her attorney still has not showed up in court to say, I was there and I saw it. I know a lot of people are saying that's not how it goes. The defense team who's defending YNW Melly right now would have spoken to his mom's attorney, and his mom's attorney would have said, yes, they conducted an illegal search or seizure and he was outside his jurisdiction, and I did hear him do something improper, like asking a fellow detective to lie on his behalf, saying that he was present. Well, I think nothing is more stronger than for them to actually bring the actual attorney into the courtroom. Just like how they bring witnesses in, witness could also tell the defense what they want to tell him, and the defense could suppose all that in the case. But how about you bring that attorney in so that attorney could be sworn in and speak under oath? See, the technicalities of this is, if they repeat what was said by that attorney and it turns out to not be true, then that attorney is free to go. But if that attorney comes into court and testifies under oath that something wrong was done and it's proven that something wrong was not done, then that attorney could end up losing their law license, because they could be charged for perjury, lying on the stand, all kinds of stuff, which makes me think they keep saying her attorney was there, but where is the attorney to stand up in court and say, yes, I was there, and they did violate her rights right in front of me? Non-existent, right? So defense attorney, let's go over this again. Defense attorney Jamie Benjamin said that information should have been turned over to the defense because they could have used it against Mark Moretti and his credibility. Again, that was another piece of the issue. Prosecutor says the exchange between Moretti and the deputy was a joke. They went to court. They talked about that. Demond's first trial, we already know, ended a 9-3 vote for conviction. 9 of the jurors said he's guilty. 3 said he was not. And we also know the drama that went along with those jurors. All of the stuff that's going on right now leads up to what's about to come. Melly faces a possible death sentence if he's convicted of first-degree murder in the 2018 slaying of 2 childhood friends, Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas and Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams, which are their stage names. They belong to the same hip-hop group. It stands for Young New Wave, or another phrase which is considered a racial slur, but I'll say it here, Young Nigga Wave. Okay? Prosecutor says that Melly and Bortland or Cortland Henry actually plotted and executed their friends and then tried to cover it up to make it look like it was a drive-by shooting. People are wondering, what has Melly done in business, music-wise? Well, his Murder on My Mind song, which he wrote while he was locked up before, released when he got out. It went to number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. That was in 2019. He hasn't had anything that charted high on the charts like that since. But we could all chalk that up to him being locked up. And a lot of people are out here rubbing their hands, like how Birdman be rubbing his hands when he was looking at Lil Wayne. I don't know. They rubbing their hands because they're like, he's a pot of gold. He's a cash pot. And if he comes out, the first album he drops is going to go platinum. Meaning he'll sell millions of copies. He'll be in high demand. He just beat a murder case after sitting still in prison or jail for how many years? Almost 5 years. And now everybody's going to want to be a piece of him. There are a lot of rappers out here right now who are co-signing his freedom. People like Lil Durk and all of those guys. They're co-signing free YNW Melly, free YNW Melly. What I want people to understand is this, right? If you talk to street gangsters, you will hear street gangsters say they never wish prison on anybody, not even their worst enemy. If you ask one of them, gang members, you say, so he shot up your mama house, almost killed your mom. They'll still tell you, I don't wish prison on nobody. That's inhumane conditions. Not even animals should be locked in and treated like that. I want that man out in the streets. Let him be out in the streets so I could gun him down. Let him be out in the streets so his ops could get to him. And because that's the life you chose to live. So they wholeheartedly do not believe in prison. So when you hear a lot of them saying free YNW Melly, they're not really saying free Melly because we think he did nothing wrong. They're saying free Melly so he could be out in these streets, so he could meet his karma out in these streets. If you in prison, nobody could shoot you up with a gun. You are probably going to get shanked up if anything, but they don't want that for him. They want equal justice, right? YNW Juvie, YNW Sack Chaser were gunned down. They died of multiple gunshot wounds. We don't mind seeing Melly go out the same way, but don't put him in prison. So we say free Melly, not because we want him to be free because we think he's innocent, but because we think he need that payback. Back to this. The latest update is they were back in court again, and they were back in court because of the motion that had their prosecutor, the lead detective, on the stand at the request of YNW Melly's attorneys. So that's what that was about. Now, the outcome for that, did they find that he did anything wrong? The answer is no again. So here we are again, running around in circles again. And it's back to this again. Honestly, I think they're just buying time. I think they're just going around filing all these motions, sitting through these motions. Weeks go by, months go by. They're just buying time, trying to avoid the inevitable. I think I know what the inevitable is. The day will come, though, when this whole trial will come to an end. And we will see what the results is in the end. Leave your comments in the comment section below. It's just another follow-up to the YNW Melly fiasco, trial. And I'll catch you on the next video. It's Brainflotv. I'm out. Peace.